Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Hi, and welcome to The Practical Mystic. This is Maureen St Germain. I'm your host today, and I have a very special guest, Madelyn Gerwick, who is an internationally recognized business, economic, and personal astrologer, speaker, and author. She has a BA degree in honors in economics, and she's listed in several Who's Who's books, including Who's Who in the World. She writes a book called The Good Timing Guide annually, and she's also been featured in Einstein's Business, Engaging Soul, Imagination, and Excellence in the Workplace. She has also co-authored The Complete Idiot's Guide to Astrology, available from Penguin. She hosts her own weekly radio show for over 5 years on the Dr. Pat Network. She's now heard on the first Friday of each month on the Jeff Rense Show. That show is on the first Friday of each month, and she has taught prosperity training to business people since 2002. Her company, Polaris Business Guides, is a metaphysical consulting and training firm which guides organizations and individuals to prosper by working in harmony with the universe. You can reach her at PolarisBusinessGuides.com. Now remember, Polaris is the North Star, so it's easy to remember, PolarisBusinessGuides.com. Or you can also call her on her toll-free number at 877-524-8300, or internationally at 360-474-114 times. So let's get this show rocking and rolling. Madelyn, you are on the line. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So today we are doing our once-a-month show, which is always educational, to reach out to you, our listener, and to help you get useful information that will help make your life magical. I work with Madelyn, and I've been working with her as a client of hers and as a friend for probably 15 years. And
it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it's probably been quite a while.
And I'm known as the Practical Mystic. I'm a mom, author, and I teach advanced spiritual techniques and ascension work. And we promise that you will come away from this call empowered and transformed. And I will tell you that I have traveled and taught meditation, sacred geometry, and manifestation since 1994. And I have many published books and CDs, which you can find on our website. You can find on Amazon. And our website is MaureenStGermain.com. So let's get this show rolling. Madelyn. Yeah. Madelyn's going to be talking to us about so many things. We've got to get this started so that she can get going. And we have half a dozen callers, Madelyn. I don't know if you can see that. So first, let's take some big picture stuff, and then we'll work into the individual callers. So if you're on the line, stay with us. We'll get to you. All right. First of all, what's the economic big picture? The big picture.
Okay. That's a really important question because, first of all, there's a 40-year cycle that started in 2000, so we're going into year 17 of a 40-year cycle that is related to economic and social revolution. And there hasn't been actually even one of these cycles. These are 20-year cycles. There hasn't been one of these since 1861, when we had the Civil War, and we lost about 600,000 people during the Civil War. So we essentially had to grow a new labor force in order for the economy to recover, which took about 20 years.
Now, wait a minute. So you're telling me revolutionary energy, do you think that revolutionary means people will automatically die?
No, not necessarily, but that was how it came out in the Civil War. A lot of people died. Yeah, it's economic and social revolution. We have had a fair number of people die, particularly over in the Middle East, but around the world, people involved in protests and things of that nature. But
so let's talk about...
It's not necessary. It's not necessary.
Okay, so give us a scenario that would be revolutionary energies that would be your best-case scenario. What would that look like?
Well, the Internet is certainly one of the best-case scenarios. But other possible ways that it could show up would be we could have the free energy that Tesla figured out and was suppressed.
That would really transform everything, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. And actually, there's plenty of information out there that certain places already have this, right? So what's the big deal? Let's get the show on the road, as they say, right?
That's right. All right, so now let's move in a little closer.
And also, just as a possibility, if we had replicators, like they had on Star Trek, when you went up to the computer and said, make me lasagna, and it appeared before you. If you had replicators, you would have very little need for money, and that would be quite revolutionary, and would have no guns involved. And it would be quite an economic and social revolution in both cases. And
right.
The second part of that is just that we have not had two of these 20-year cycles back-to-back since 1047 to 1087. So I just mention that so people can get a sense of how rare this situation is. And so that's the first out of three really major cycles that are going on in the background, or maybe the foreground in some cases, of the year ahead. The second cycle started in 2008. It's going to end in 2024. It's a 16-year cycle. We haven't had it since the 1700s, when we were just forming as a nation. And so that's about a 248-year cycle. That's a rare cycle as well. And that cycle is related to transforming the economy. Now, it means permanent change to the economy, not something that you can go back to. You're not going to go back to something you had previously. And
so let's talk about what that might look like. What would that look like, to give people some ideas on what they should be thinking about?
Well, if you look around, you're seeing that especially like this past Christmas, if you went into the retail stores, you notice that they were quite a bit emptier than they've been in past Christmas seasons. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing this switch over. On the other hand, the online retailers were just blasted with work and sales. And so there's an example of how this change is really making a big difference in whether or not you're going to have stores to walk into. And I see that Macy's is going to close some of their stores now because they can't make it.
Interesting.
So there's an example of how some of this is playing out. But also I expect that you will see things to become more sustainable. You can't have an economy that works for 1% of the population. That's not going to be sustainable over the long run. And if there's anything that transformation is involved in, it's in creating sustainability. Because otherwise, it won't be there for the long run.
1% of the population. You say only 1% of the population gets the benefit of the economy. You need to explain that a little further, because a lot of people aren't tracking here.
Okay. Well, that's a common percentage that is utilized for the wealthy. And the wealthy 1% are doing pretty well in this particular type of an economy. But the rest of the people are having a little bit of trouble. And it's kind of rigged, right?
Right.
It's rigged in various ways, and we all know it. And so you and I and various, what we would probably call middle class, or maybe used to be middle class, or whatever, those people have a harder time with paying their health insurance, their car insurance, their cars, their houses, etc. And you're not going to be able to sustain an economy where people can't pay their bills.
Got it. Okay, so a sustainable economy means that what's good for you is good for me, and what's good for me better be good for you, otherwise we ought not do it.
That's correct. And also it has to be good for the environment or it won't be sustainable.
That's the key. So ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are listening, here's the key to your own personal success. We're going to get into this a lot deeper, but if you're looking for some broad brushstrokes to kind of frame how you're thinking about the future, not only the immediate future of 2016, but the next 5 to 10 years, everything you do should be with the idea that it's going to be good for me and it's going to be good for the other party. That means, let's say you're going to sell a car, you don't have to get so much money that the other person who wanted that car got taken advantage of. You want them to be happy with it, and you want them to get a fair deal, and you want you to get a fair deal. And that's pretty powerful. That's pretty powerful because it reminds me of a little story that I had with a very wealthy man who was getting rid of his very fancy car, and his adult son, who just finished college, wanted to buy it and had a little job, and talked his father out of getting the full price. Maybe got less than $10,000 for the car that he thought was worth maybe 20 or 30. So the father's bemoaning this story to me. And I looked at him and I said, but just think how proud you would have been of him if he'd gotten that deal on that car from somebody else.
Right.
So that's what we want. We want everybody we encounter to be benefiting. There is no shortage. See, it's the belief in shortage that makes us think that I have to be able to take advantage of that guy, because if I don't, then I'm going to be shorted. And the truth is we can both benefit.
Yes. Well, and also, you can't have somebody who is making products that are poisonous to either the environment or people, and making a profit on those, and expect that to continue. That kind of stuff is not going to continue. Its days are numbered. Period. It's not going to work in this particular environment. The last big cycle, is the Uranus square Pluto, which is our revolutionary cycle. Now, in the 60s, we had the conjunction where they came together, the two planets came together. And in the mid-60s, those of us who lived through it remember the tumultuousness of that period and how pretty much everything that you see now was kind of seeded at that point. So the environmental issues came to light at that time for the first time.
All the co-ops were formed.
Yep. We had the sexual revolution. The pill came around. We had women's liberation. We had the Vietnam War. I mean, there were protests and major changes on every front. And fortunately, we also had Star Trek introduced during that time, which was a extremely important concept being provided to the public by Gene Roddenberry, who had a Russian, a Japanese, a Scottish guy, a couple of Americans, and an alien, and a black woman, all on the same ship, all on the same ship, and all working together toward one common goal. And of course, now we have a the space station with the Russians, you see. So all those things were seeded at that point in time. And now we're at the point where all of these changes they've made progress. You have a black president, for example, but you also have police killing black people at an alarming rate. So you don't have the level of progress that you would like to see. And so the square comes through and everybody jumps up and down and makes some major changes because of it. And these are revolutionary changes. I would say these started in 2010 when it became really strong. And it will stay strong until early 2019, but it will probably continue to have effects for at least another 5 years after that, 5 to 6 years. So we still have some time on this. I always encourage people to join the revolution. If you're trying to stick with the status quo, you're in a sinking boat. So I definitely would switch over to joining the revolution, and there are lots of ways to join it. I actually think that Star Wars is a great example of that energy. And at the end of it...
And why? Why do you think that?
Oh, because they're having the rebellion against the dark side, which obviously we are having that as we speak.
So you're talking about the new Star Wars movie.
The new Star Wars. Yes,
yeah.
The new Star Wars that came out, yes. Great
very good.
example. Yeah, it's a very good metaphor for the questions that are being presented to everyone.
So if I said to you, Madelyn, I want to join the revolution, but I don't know what to do, where would I go? I mean, I personally know what I would do to join the revolution, but let's talk about that. For example, for over 30 years, I've been carrying my own grocery sacks.
There you go.
I had cloth bags in my trunk, canvas bags, long before that was fashionable to have these cute little roll-up bags.
Right.
That's one way to join the revolution, because you're saying no to, taking advantage of Mother Earth and using too much paper when you don't need it.
Yes. Yes, there are actually thousands of ways to join the revolution. Mostly, I would say that every part of society is in need of a revolution. There's not one area that you can point to that doesn't need revolution, whether it's healthcare, the legal system, education, business, you name it. Everything is in need of revolution and change, and major changes. Not just little ones, not changing moving the chairs on the Titanic deck. Not those changes.
That's well said. And those of you who are listening, let your conscience be your guide. And if you notice that you're complaining about something, that means you care passionately about it and you can be part of the solution. Find a way.
Yes, that's exactly right. And it's really... If a person will follow their divine discontent, as I like to call it, they will find a way to make things work better. And really, at the end of Star Wars, Rey is holding the lightsaber in front of Luke and pleading with him to take it. But just with her eyes and her body, she's not saying anything. And of course, that question is not answered. And I think it is not answered because she's actually asking each person, will you take your lightsaber? Will you awaken?
Very cool.
So the question is up to each one of us to answer, and we're left to answer it. So
very cool. So now let's dive a little deeper. And those of you who are listening, we are so grateful you're there. We're so grateful that you're online with us. We will be taking a short break momentarily. But before we do, can you give us a little bit of an economic preview? And whenever I cut you off, then we'll finish that after the break.
Okay, that's perfect. Yes, so the first half of this coming year, this 2016 year, it has a little bit of a slow start because right now we're in Mercury retrograde and we're kind of rethinking things a bit. But February has some good potential. And then March comes and it's a bit rough because the money side of things in March is rougher, and also there are eclipses that month related to endings and separations. And then April, May, and June come, and we have Mars retrograde during that period.
Okay, now stop a minute. Maybe some of our listeners don't know what the word retrograde means. So you mentioned Mercury retrograde and the Mars retrograde. Let's give those some definitions.
Very good. Okay, retrograde means that the planet appears to be moving backwards from our position here on Earth. And, of course,
and that affects the planet in what way?
It means that we're rethinking or redoing something, and we're not moving forward in the normal sense. And so we're redoing things now with Mercury retrograde. We're rethinking things. we don't really know what our needs are during Mercury retrograde period.
Let me capstone this for a minute. Mercury retrograde is all about the backward movement of the planet Mercury, which is all about action, making decisions, and moving forward. So if you're now moving backward, that's why you have to rethink.
Yes, it's actually related to communications and travel and things of that nature. So it's lots of miscommunications, computers can crash and so forth, but it's meant for you to catch up. This period is meant to catch up, and we are usually hate to slow down and do that, and so we have the universe slowing us down with travel breakdowns and cars breaking down and computers crashing and so forth to try and get our attention. But if we would slow ourselves down and not schedule as much so we could catch up, the universe would be a lot more amenable to supporting.
Okay, so on that note, we are going to take a break to catch up, catch your breath. I'm with you each month at this time on Mondays, and we are together with Madelyn Gerwick, business astrologer, and we will be right back on The Practical Mystic.
Essential oils have been used since ancient times, but there has never been a formulation as amazing and original as Maureen St Germain's Aro Mandalas, a line of essential oils that combine 3 spiritual and healing traditions. No matter what negative emotional issue you may be dealing with, there is an Aro Mandalas essential oil that can help you grow and reach a positive emotional response. So clear out those unwanted emotions and feel empowered with Aro Mandalas essential oils. Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Essential Oil Blends. That's MaureenStGermain.com.
Shh! Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
So you want to change your life? Well, I have a great, easy, and stress-free way on how to do that. Get a guided meditation with Maureen St Germain. Powerful guided meditations on CDs. Or you can download an MP3 to your computer or tablet. There's so many to choose from, and once you get one, they are so reasonably priced and work so well. You'll probably want them all, and why not? Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Books and Media. Do it now. MaureenStGermain.com. Books and Media. And help change your life now.
Radio Your Way. HealthyLife.net.
Attention, Practical Mystic listeners. Here's a deal you won't want to refuse. If you've ever wanted a chance to get a free Akashic reading with Maureen St Germain, then here's all you have to do to increase your chance for a totally free reading. Email Maureen. Tell her your problem, and if your story is used on the Practical Mystic show, then you'll win a 30-minute Akashic reading with Maureen St Germain. How easy is that? And the email address is easy to remember, too. radio@MaureenStGermain.com. Email her now and get a chance at that free reading. radio@MaureenStGermain.com.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
Hi, and we are back. This is Maureen St Germain, and you are listening to The Practical Mystic with Maureen St Germain, talk radio to make you have every day be a day of heaven on earth for you and everyone you meet. We are online with Madelyn Gerwick, business astrologer, and she is giving us the big picture, and now we're going to narrow it down to the, economic preview for 2016. And we have a lot of callers on hold, and we are going to get to you. We've got plenty of time to get to you. So thank you for calling in, and stay tuned. Madelyn, what is the economic preview for 2016?
Okay, so first of all, I was mentioning that the first part of the year is a bit on the rough side, and it does look like the economy will not move too much. In other words, it won't grow much during the first 6 to 7 months. And part of that issue is that we have Mars going retrograde in April, and it will last till the end of June. Now, this is an important concept. I want people to really understand this idea that come April, especially by the middle of April, we really will not know what we want and where we want to go for the next 2 years. So to try and start something during this period between the middle of April and the end of June is crazy and really very unsuccessful, I might add. It's like trying to send a battleship out to war without any ammunition, because we're really rethinking what we want to do, where we want to go for the next 2 years, and
that's really because of what retrograde?
Mars retrograde. Mars represents our energy, our goals, our physical energy, and the motivations that we have to take our actions, and so we're really rethinking those things. And until we get to the end of that period, we're really not clear about what we want to do for the next 2 years, and there's a lot of research and rethinking to be done about where we're headed. And so if you use this period well, you actually, at the end of the period, you'll have clarity about what you want to do for the next 2 years. And if you don't use it well, you'll just end up thrashing about for 2 years, and you will not accomplish very much. So it's a very, very important time. And particularly, I would have to say, this particular Mars retrograde is even more important than usual, because the situation is a little bit different than usual. The Earth and the entire solar system is traveling through a part of the galaxy now where there are extremely high frequencies. And these frequencies are actually designed to help us evolve our consciousness, but also they are ensuring that the energies have shifted on Earth. And by that I mean that the light is winning. So this is a first. Ever since we've had humans on Earth, this is a first. And so the situation is very different for this Mars retrograde, because you can do things now that you couldn't do before.
Such as?
Well, perhaps in our realm, we might be able to take our message out to a much bigger audience.
Got it. And that applies to everyone who's listening, because you all have a message, and you're all inspired to do your work. And this doesn't mean you're out there proselytizing. What it means is there's more people that are ready, available, and willing to listen to you. And that's big. Now, before we go too much further, and I know Madelyn wants to continue telling us this, but I want to stop her a minute and say, 2 years ago I had what she does is like a Mars retrograde consult. So I could utilize the information about what was going to be the most growth opportunities for me, and I worked with that information, and it helped me greatly get focused on what I would be doing over the next 2 years. And what she said about not knowing what you're supposed to be doing and feeling lost, I guarantee that I felt that way, and at least this helped me hone in on what direction I should be looking for what I didn't know I wanted.
Yes, it's a very, very important time period. And I do, during Mars retrograde, offer those Mars retrograde consultations so that people can get focused on the right directions to head. And
now, before we go any further, let's give your website again. And also, you had a special for the listeners that we want to share that's good for a limited time, and I would like you to talk about that.
Yes, okay. My regular website is PolarisBusinessGuides.com. That's POLARIS, just like the star, business spelled regular, guides, GUIDES.com. And the special is actually at a different site. The special is at Ask Madelyn, AskMadelene.com. And we've made it easy for people to buy a good timing guide, either the printed one or the one with the online guide. And you can also get a package with newsletters, which gives you an additional percentage off on everything. So it's a special just for this group till the end of the month, till the end of January, and it's not offered to anyone else. That's why it's not on my regular site, and it's complicated to put in promo codes and stuff on my site. So we just did it.
No worries. This is perfect, and people know to go to Ask Madelyn. So now let's continue with what we can expect for 2016. You got as far as, I think, May.
Yes. Well, May has both Mercury and Mars retrograde, so of course the worst possible time to introduce anything. And actually, I just want to mention that during Mars retrograde, you should not introduce new products or services unless you're maybe doing a beta test or something of that nature. It's like a failure time to try and introduce something during that time period. So you really want to wait. I've seen sales come in at 15%, 15% of forecasted sales when they're introduced during Mars retrograde. Sometimes they might get up to 30% of forecasted sales. It's really not worth it to introduce products then. It's better to fix your product, find out what's maybe wrong with it or needs fixing, and do that instead. So part of why the first half of the year is slow and not moving forward in the way that we might want it to is because Mars is retrograde. We're supposed to be doing our strategic planning for the next 2 years, both personally and business-wise. And so the universe kind of slows business down during that time, so we have enough time to do it. And then July comes and things start to pick up. And also during the first half of the year, we have 3 cycles that are challenging in terms of growth for the economy. Oil is still going down in price, and there are structures dissolving that no longer work, and although that may seem challenging, it's actually a good thing. It's like having a rotting pier that finally floats out to sea because, really you shouldn't have been walking on it anyway. So the rest of the year picks up quite a bit, and then in the fall we start to have some fairly significant challenges. Of course, there's the election, and that will, of course, create its own challenges. And
so before we come back, when we come back, rather, we will give you some information on what Madelyn thinks will happen at the election, and we'll get into your calls, and we'll start digging a little deeper. So stay with us. This is Maureen St Germain, and you are listening to The Practical Mystic.
So, you want to change your life? Well, I have a great, easy, and stress-free way on how to do that. Get a guided meditation with Maureen St Germain. Powerful guided meditations on CDs. Or you can download an MP3 to your computer or tablet. There's so many to choose from, and once you get one, they are so reasonably priced and work so well. You'll probably want them all, and why not? Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Books and Media. Do it now. MaureenStGermain.com. Books and Media. And help change your life now.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap steak. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
The loving, healing energy of the Akashic Records is a profound tool for self-exploration and empowerment, and these records include every thought, word, and deed of your life throughout time. With so much information, you will probably need a guide to help you access and interpret it. That's where Maureen St Germain's trained and certified Akashic Record guides can help. Discover what you really need to know with an Akashic Record guide reading. For more information, visit AkashicRecordsGuides.org or visit MaureenStGermain.com and click Akashic Readings. Essential oils have been used since ancient times, but there has never been a formulation as amazing and original as Maureen St Germain's Aro Mandalas, a line of essential oils that combine 3 spiritual and healing traditions. No matter what negative emotional issue you may be dealing with, there is an Aro Mandalas essential oil that can help you grow and reach a positive emotional response. So clear out those unwanted emotions and feel empowered with Aro Mandalas essential oils. Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Essential Oil Blends. That's MaureenStGermain.com.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Hi, and welcome. This is Maureen St. Germain, and you have been listening to The Practical Mystic with Maureen St. Germain. Our very special guest today is Madelyn Gerwick, who is an astrologer, a business astrologer, a guide, and she teaches prosperity training and also helps us get through these backward movements of the planets in a way that allows us to maximize what might they be good for. I will tell you that I was at dinner one time with a well-known publishing company president, and I didn't know that he was an astrologer, and I was making some comment about, Mercury retrograde is good for things. And he looked at me very deadpan, Madelyn, and said, "What is Mercury retrograde good for?" And really? And I said, "Well, for one thing, it's good for a rewrite." And he looked at me and said, "Maureen, any time is good for a rewrite."
Wasn't open to that possibility, huh?
But I always tell people, clean out your drawers, your closets, whatever you throw away you won't miss, because it's a good time to make that decision.
Yes, well, Mercury retrograde actually is a fantastic time to recycle things that you no longer need or love, and so it's a great time to clean stuff out of your offices and homes and take them to Goodwill or wherever and really clear some space. Because one of the reasons why sometimes the flow stops happening is because we have too much stuff in our homes, and there's really not any room for something new to come in. And even in things like your filing cabinets for a business, if they get too stuffed, you're not going to get more business coming in because you don't have room for them. It's really good to clear things out at this point and make room for the new year.
All right, so we got a caller on line 1, which I'm going to open up, and this is Steve from New York City, who's an actor. Now, Steve, I'm going to unmute your phone, and I'd like you to give us the short question you might have.
Some of last year was great, especially the summer. It's been really dead since then, even though I've gotten some excellent feedback on my work. I'd like to know what you guys got from me coming up this year.
Steve, what day were you born? I have.
February 19th.
I'm not a psychic. February 9th. What year?
February 19th.
19th. Okay.
1949.
1949. And do you know what time you were born?
9:18 p.m. in Brooklyn, New York.
9:18 p.m. in Brooklyn. Okay. Now, one thing I just want to mention to you is that while I'm on the air, I only have time to look at one set of cycles. And when I normally do cycles for somebody, I'm looking at 5 different sets of cycles. So I'm just going to look at one situation. One layer. Yeah, one layer, that's right. And tell you what I see. And this is what I call the layer that's sort of front and center, so to speak. So let me see. You are just about to get out of a cycle where you've had less money. But I do want to warn you that it's going to come back a little bit until probably about summer, and then it will eventually be leaving for good. So yeah. So that cycle's been going on for about 2 years, and that's going to be over with. Now, later this year, Jupiter's going to move into your first house, and you should be able to be seen more. That is later in the year, and that should bring you a fair amount of growth and being able to be seen on movies or TV or anything like that. Film, basically.
Very cool.
That's what I do.
You're welcome. Very cool. All right, so you have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
We're going to mute you, and we're going to go to one more caller. Now, the second caller, I spoke with you briefly, and there was a lot of background noise, and you were reverbing. So if you can make sure your sound is turned down and just listening to your phone, I'm going to unmute you. Tell us your name, and what is your question?
Hi, my name is Matthew, and my question is first of all, regarding a venture. I plan on starting a workshop on February 2nd, and I wondered what you saw for that. And just in general, for me, my birthday is August 31st, 1953. I was born at 7:20 p.m. in St. Louis.
Okay, so August 31st, 1953, 7:20 p.m. in St. Louis.
Yes.
Got it. All right. So now, first of all, let me talk to you about the February 2nd date. At least it's after. It has a good communications code. It has a good New Start code. It's not a money day. It's a day when there's a yellow final result, which means that you'll get some of what you're looking for out of that workshop. You might not get all of it, though, so there might be some.
And Madelyn, I'd like to jump in here because I've been using this calendar for such a long time, and what I tell people about those yellow days is that if you're a person that does well with resistance or pressure, you will actually perform better, have a better event, because you need a little resistance. You know, some of us do better when we know someone's pushing against us or watching. So
well, I'm famous for finishing things the night before and generally, pushing a deadline to a little bit of trauma just to get things done. I'm trying to actually move out of that pattern, but I'm sort of used to performing in the crunch of it.
Well, the good news, bad news from my vantage point, from my experience point, is that it might be traumatic to wait to the last minute for you, but if there are snafus at the last minute, you'll sail through them.
Good. I'm not waiting for the last minute on this. I'm planning it for a while, but
and just
shit happens.
Just a quick note about that date also is that it's during the third quarter moon. Now, that can be a good time to plant a seed or something that you want to bring to more fruition. Like if this workshop is sort of like a preliminary workshop that might lead people to a later workshop, for example.
That's exactly what it is. It's a launch, and hopefully it'll expand to more people and more segments of it.
Okay. All right. Because normally for new starts, I like them to start between the new moon and actually a day or two after the new moon until roughly third quarter. So, but third quarter moons can be useful for planting seeds, and so hopefully that will work out for you.
Very cool. So thank you for calling in, and anyone who else wants to call in with a question, be sure to hit *2. We have lots of people who are listening live, and I'm so happy about that. You are listening to Maureen St Germain on The Practical Mystic. Today's guest is Madelyn Gerwick. Madelyn, quick, let's run through your special for the listeners.
Oh, okay. Yes, we have the Good Timing Guide, both the printed and the online guide, on special for your listeners at AskMadelyn.com. That's AskMadelline.com. And also, you can get packages with both the newsletters where you can find out about the cycles and the guide, and they come with an extra 15% off when you buy it as a package. So those are all available. Yeah.
Stay with us, and we will be right back. Thanks for being with us.
Attention, Practical Mystic listeners. Here's a deal you won't want to refuse. If you've ever wanted a chance to get a free Akashic reading with Maureen St Germain, then here's all you have to do to increase your chance for a totally free reading. Email Maureen. Tell her your problem, and if your story is used on the Practical Mystic show, then you'll win a 30-minute Akashic reading with Maureen St Germain. How easy is that? And the email address is easy to remember, too. radio@MaureenStGermain.com. Email her now and get a chance at that free reading. radio@MaureenStGermain.com.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call earthchannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
So, you want to change your life? Well, I have a great, easy, and stress-free way on how to do that. Get a guided meditation with Maureen St Germain. Powerful guided meditations on CDs. Or you can download an MP3 to your computer or tablet. There's so many to choose from, and once you get one, they are so reasonably priced and work so well. You'll probably want them all, and why not? Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Books and Media. Do it now. MaureenStGermain.com, Books and Media, and help change your life now. Essential oils have been used since ancient times, but there has never been a formulation as amazing and original as Maureen St Germain's Aro Mandalas, a line of essential oils that combine 3 spiritual and healing traditions. No matter what negative emotional issue you may be dealing with, there is an Aro Mandalas essential oil that can help you grow and reach a positive emotional response. So clear out those unwanted emotions and feel empowered with Aro Mandalas essential oils. Visit MaureenStGermain.com and click on Essential Oil Blends. That's MaureenStGermain.com.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
Maybe we lost Maureen. I don't know. This is Madelyn Gerwick on the Practical Mystic with Maureen St Germain. And I want to answer a question that was sent in by a lady named Sylvia. And she's researching and writing her genealogy, and she wonders why she is so interested in the story related to her, to Scotland and her dead ancestors. And the question is basically, perhaps I was living in Scotland in a former life, or maybe someone's trying to send me a message. And I just want to tell Sylvia that you could possibly find an astrologer who could read a chart related to past lifetimes of that nature. But what I think would be a better solution for answering this, a guy named Michael Newton wrote a book called Destiny of Souls. And he discovered, he's a psychologist, he he discovered by taking people back, hypnotizing them basically, and taking them back to their previous lifetime. And he did this primarily to help them solve issues that were happening in their current lifetime that they couldn't really understand. And basically everyone has a soul group that they reincarnate with in different roles throughout many, many lifetimes. And so very, very likely you were one of those long-dead ancestors. Because we reincarnate with the same group. Maybe this time you're a daughter and somebody else is the mom and the dad, brother and sister, etc. But you all will change roles and genders over many lifetimes. So what I would recommend, Michael Newton trained quite a few people around the world and around the country. And I would recommend that you check in and see if you can find the people that he trained in this process and see if they can shed some light on your interest in Scotland. That would probably give you a much better read than what astrology can give you for something like that. And you would find out who you were back then, and no doubt you probably did live in Scotland at that time. So do we have Maureen? It doesn't sound like it. It's very odd. Must have lost her somehow. Anyways, before one of the breaks, we were talking about the situation with the election, and that always has a lot. Do we have Maureen?
Yes, you do. My phone just went down. It was wacky. Sorry, guys.
It's Mercury retrograde.
All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, so I just answered Sylvia's question.
Oh, good.
I was going to talk about the election for a moment.
Okay.
The elections always kind of put a damper on business a bit because no one knows who's going to win. And they don't want to make certain choices and investments, etc., until they figure that out. So there's always this kind of waiting game, basically, for the election. Now, this year, when I looked at the election, it looks a little peculiar in the sense that people are, dare I say, angry and not happy with politicians. So they're really not looking for what I would call a standard politician. And so I don't know how that is going to end up playing out in the rest of the season here, but it certainly leads me to wonder. Trump, of course, has been playing an interesting role. In my world, we call him Uranus. And Uranus is someone who's different. He's unusual. He's doing something that other people don't do. And fortunately, Trump, despite his amazing comments, has been pushing forward the discussion, the actual issues. If you notice, the other potential leaders do not put forth the major issues. They wait for Trump to sort of blow them up into some crazy, and then they come back with something. So it's hard to say how that's going to play out, but I don't expect to see just a regular politician coming to the forefront for the election.
That's very interesting. So there may even be another surprise player here.
Yes, I heard that Hillary might be indicted in the next 60 days, and that would certainly put a very different spin on the election.
Yes, it would, and we might end up with some really interesting people. So, as we look at, when are people going to start their projects, and when are people going to do what they care about, what are you telling people?
July. Or either get something started in February or get it started in July.
I see. And everything you get started in July, you can get some boost out of it in other months.
Yes, I mean, you really may not know what direction you're headed until you get to July. So now is actually a great time to finish up any projects that you've set for yourself in the last 2 years, particularly this month and next month. But if you have something you really want to get out early in the year, February is pretty much the month to do it. There's really not another good choice. And the guide, the Good Timing Guide, will show you the good days to do that. It's all color-coded. Yeah, color-coded, easy to use. Anyone can use it if they can read a stoplight.
So I want to have a quick conversation about the orange in your calendar because, you know, as I've come to the conclusion that orange is less of an action day than even red. Because at least red, you know it's not going to work. Orange, you keep thinking it's going to come together, and it doesn't. Right.
Falling out days, the orange line is, the top line is orange on a falling out day. You're expecting something to come together, and it doesn't work out. It doesn't ever come together. So those days can be disappointing. You don't want to start something important on a day like that because it won't come together. You certainly wouldn't want to sign a contract, etc.
So today we've been listening and chatting with Madelyn Gerwick. This is Maureen St Germain on The Practical Mystic. I am happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much, Madelyn, for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome.
And you can find Madelyn at PolarisBusinessGuides.com. And if you want to take advantage of her special offers, make sure you go to AskMadelyn.com. Those offers will only be available till the end of January. I thank you all for listening, and God bless. May you all have a day of heaven on earth for yourself and everyone you are with.